You mentioned Drake London would be kind of that, either him or Kenneth Walker, depending on your scoring, depending on your team needs as well for Dynasty. So I imagine if we're shaking out this top tier, Drake's kind of the clear guy for you. I had an assumption he was your wide receiver 1 coming into the draft. He's the first wide receiver off the board in the NFL draft. So what did you love about him, and how do you like this fit in Atlanta right now?
Yeah, he can do a whole lot of things. You know, like when you talk about his evaluation, a lot of the thing that you're talking about is the ball skills, the downfield utility, stuff like that. He's really big. He's really long. He can get up in the air. He has an enormous catch radius. And, you know, he sort of has this catch radius of an Indian god. And if you get the ball within it, he's going to come down with it. And so, you know, you have to keep a deep safety back because no cornerback can go up one-on-one with him. But the other thing about him, it's not just that. Like USC, I think it was like he had like 2.5 screen catches per game. And beyond that, his yards per catch after the screens was really, really high. So it's like it's a guy who, you know, both the deep game is there, also the short game, and then, you know, the intermediate stuff, he can do that as well. So you know, it's like a golfer that's you know, really good at putting, he's really good at driving, and he's really good at chipping. So, you know, I mean, you sort of had the fully fledged game there. I just sort of like everything about his game. And then as far as the fit, it's, you know, I mean, the team sucks, but it's a really good fit for him because it's, you know, it's this black hole of a receiving core, but you get to play with Kyle Pitts your entire career. And how awesome is that? Like, you know, I was talking about the thing of like, you have to keep a deep safety back. You just have to, because if you don't, he's going to beat the cornerback one-on-one deep every single time. Well, it's the same thing with Kyle Pitts. So if you send both those guys deep on the opposite sides of the field, it's a pick your poison scenario for the defense. And if you're keeping 2 safeties back, now all of a sudden, you know, Atlanta might be able to run, even though they don't have any running backs. Yeah. But, you know, we'll see about that. I'm not a big fan of Tyler Algier. We can get back to that later. But, you know, I think it's a really good fit. And they're certainly going to pepper him with targets in year 1 because they don't have anybody else outside of Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agreement. I think that's kind of become the consensus for all the reasons you mentioned, the skill set, every single layer of the field, especially the contested catches, the Mike Evans comparisons, getting tossed out there. And it doesn't seem unrealistic at all to see a, you know, career parallel that. Yeah, the quarterback is definitely questionable. That's kind of what's the issue with a lot of these top guys as we sift through the rest of it, is none of them landed with Pat Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. And we'll talk about the 2 that did next question, but all the top talents, all the top ranked guys seem to get into these unideal situations as we break it down. But while we do, Wolfpack, if you haven't already, please consider hitting that thumbs up button, shares, likes, retweets, all that stuff does continue to help us grow and get this out to more people. So please consider doing that for us and helping us grow Wolfpack. It is so greatly appreciated as we welcome on Thor Nystrom of NBC Sports Edge. Now, continuing with that rest of the tier, we got Drake at the clear lock at the top. Seems to be what everybody's expecting. But what about Wilson, Olave, Jameson Williams, you know, Treylon Burks? They seem to be the consensus next 4 off the board. Between them, Walker, like through pick 7, that's kind of it. You got your lock, Breece Hall, you got Kenneth Walker somewhere in there, and then these 5 receivers. So after Drake, how do you kind of rank Wilson, Olave, Jameson, and Burks?
Yeah, so Burks is the guy that I would have a little bit lower. His acclimation process, well, I will say, as far as the NFL fit, he got lucky that they, you know, the team that took him, they traded AJ Brown. So at least he's going to get to play early. But as far as just the prospect, it's going to take him a little bit longer because in college, he was a forced manufactured touch guy close to the line of scrimmage. You know, sort of like in recent years, Rondale Moore, Laviska Shenault, guys like that, where they were by far the best, you know, skill players on their team. And so their teams would move them around the formation, force them the ball within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and then be like, you manufacture offense for us, as opposed to we're going to stick you in one spot and then develop you there, right? And so now, you know, going to the NFL, if Tennessee expects Treylon Burks to line up at one spot, the X, the Z, whatever it's going to be, and then, you know, we expect you to be a standout at that one spot right away, I think they're going to be sorely mistaken. He also looked to be out of shape, you know, initially at the rookie camp, which wasn't a great, you know, thing right away. So I think he's going to start slow. Unfortunately, we'll see how that goes. Wilson, you know, I think that could be okay right away. He's in a pretty good spot. I think that receiving core could be all right. You know, I mean, you got Elijah Moore inside. You got the fifth pick on the other side from several years, Davis on the other side. You know, and Wilson can run the routes really good. So I think, you know, you got a field stretcher, you got your slot guy, you know, that can create separation. And Wilson's one of the best guys in this class at creating separation. So I think that's a good fit for him. I'm a huge fan of Olave. He doesn't have the best quarterback situation of the kids that got drafted in this class, but you want to talk about a kid that creates separation. I mean, that kid creates separation like you and I breathe. You know, I mean, like he could lead the NFL in receptions, you know, one of the years of his career, you know, just because he creates separation so easily. So I was a huge fan of his game. I actually ranked him wide receiver 2 in this class. Yeah. I'm just a huge fan of his game. I ranked him 11th overall in the class. He ends up going 11th overall, you know, in the draft. And then Jameson Williams, you know, I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to start the season, you know, coming off of that injury. I don't know if he'll be healthy week 1. We'll see. But certainly, you know, once he starts playing, he's another guy that's going to get an F ton of targets, right? Because, you know, of course they have Amonra, but on the outside, what did the Lions have? They basically had nothing. So, that, you know, I mean, Jared Goff is going to be looking Jameson Williams' way a whole lot once he gets onto the field. He just is. So, I mean, he's going to get a lot of targets.
What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.